didn't think September was busy enough. You know, October seems doubly busy. So I know it's only the second week, but we are a little bit crazy. So for September, as you can see from my report, I just mentioned that certainly all of us, to a degree, and myself, somewhat preoccupied still with the site survey. Not that we had any participation in tabulating, but just reviewing it once it was completed, and reviewing the comments, which I've done, and I'm sure some of you have as well. So that took time.
That information is all linked,
Oh,
linked on the website, on the town site, yeah.
2 documents.
Yeah.
I actually thought I had sent them to all of you as
The link.
attachments, or
I
maybe
saw the link. I don't think at the time there was any comments.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
2 separate files.
5 pages of comments.
But they are on the 500 somewhat
500
comments out of 1,000.
Out of 1,000
I have them right here.
responses, 500 comments.
A whole
Oh,
bunch
great.
of them.
So, but do we ever find out if there was any control over the electronic voting?
No, there wasn't.
No,
There was not, okay. So I have some issues with that,
Mhm.
There were some people that voted twice.
more than twice
Several.
is what we were told, so.
Really?
They kept sending emails.
Sure.
Take the survey.
Yeah, I mean, there was
And
no
you could
control over
take
that.
it
As many times as you
as
want.
many times as you wanted.
Well, it's
Did they-
easy to figure out, because I spent 5 hours on my flight yesterday reviewing every comment. And when I saw 2, one right after the other, that looked like the same, you look at the time, and they were like within a minute of each other. There weren't many, there were like 4 or 5.
So it wasn't well thought through. I think they
Was
should have put it in the water bill with a number. You could have done it online using that number, and that would have been the control, easy control.
Well, there could be need for another one, so
Yeah.
I wouldn't
But I
hesitate
have to
maybe.
say that if you live a place like Meeting House, we don't get a water bill.
Yes,
Right.
right, and that was,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there are a few
But-
people, I don't
But
know.
And then we could have
there were
reverted
bigger
to the
ones
other.
too. So that had a control.
And you can't you set up Survey Monkey with the control?
I would
That
assume so.
An email can
They
only
weren't
respond
involved.
once
Yeah.
to the survey?
It might be multiple devices. So your phone could log in, your computer could log in, you could come down here and log
Yeah,
in.
but that's
Yeah.
such a used
Yeah.
technology tool.
Mhm.
There's definitely
There's-
control.
I
yeah.
would believe that. So those are worthwhile.
But so, yeah, we have 1,000, we have 1,100 responses and about 500 comments. That's the tally on the survey, and it is all available online.
So, and, you know, that's another discussion which we can have later, I
Yeah.
guess, but, so, and JD and I actually did record another cable segment just last Friday, and we happened to just choose to do it on reviewing sort of the progress thus far, and the sites again, and just for those who, again, just maybe still hadn't maybe seen as much of what we have as far as those locations go. So we reviewed it. I told John that we were doing that, and he didn't, you know, have any response, and I didn't know. I actually thought it was coming tonight because I did want to have further discussion, but I don't know. So just some general office updates for you. I think each one of our last meetings I have changed this, but now we are getting a new phone system. Tricia left and Al stepped in, and I met with Al. Each of the department heads has met with Al just to get us, you know, sort of caught up for the next 6 weeks or whatever we were waiting for a new town administrator. So I discussed it with him, and the fact that, and I will mention this and say this in the report, the fact that we do have, you know, surplus money, as you know, in a couple of revolving accounts, one of which is programs, which ordinarily, when we're out of this money, you know, usually money comes in and money goes out, but we happen to have had donations made and can draw on that. So I have that account, but I also have the gifts and donations, which, you know, has sort of just been lying in wait for, you know, a new senior center needs and whatnot, but this really qualifies, frankly. So I had 2,000 in the budget and needed 3,000 more, and I just said, you know, we have the money, so we didn't want to quibble. Could be facilities gives us some if we need it in the end, but I'm using our stored
What are you using?
funds
New phone system.
for the phone system. I mean, we have no caller ID, which is crazy. And people assume we do half the time, you know, they don't leave their numbers even, and sometimes we just lose those calls. And we haven't been able to do certain messages and route calls, especially when we're not here. We can't have calls routed properly, so.
Would say, with the call ID, does it say just town of Scituate now, and with the new one, will it say council on aging?
Well, that's a good question that I cannot answer.
So I feel like I've gotten calls that say town of Scituate, maybe.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
I
Like,
think a lot of those are,
anything from the town. exchange.
scammers have found a way to.
No, oh, I know,
access
yeah,
that.
no, I mean, like, sometimes you get town of Scituate calls. I feel like I may have gotten one or two from there, but.
You know what, I have not received a call, but, so I can't really say accurately. I mean, we are piggybacked on the town hall phone
Right.
system, but not really, so it's hard to say. And it's hard to say what it will be, but I can ask, and maybe we can have whatever we want, I would imagine, it's
Yeah.
done so far. So anyway, just thought I'd catch up on that. I've spent a lot of time also this month thus far on writing a guide for the senior tax work-off program. It's actually the timing where I'm collecting completed hours from people who've been placed and accepting applications for people who want to begin in the program after October and November. But I really have needed more information to be able to give to people instead of just orally telling them what the program is all about. So I have completed one. I just sent it to Steve in the assessor's office for him to look at, and I think it's fine. It's short and sweet, but still. So it will help me. We went from, 7 or 8 placements 2 years ago to 16 this year. They're not giving me a cap. I could easily get to 20 if I have the positions, and I think a few of the departments who haven't been doing it are willing.
That's great.
Most, and I will say most, who end up taking a person want to keep that person, and that person generally is interested in staying as well. So that just means you always need more job opportunities, which we can get creative with if they're not unhappy with the program, you know what I mean? From a town standpoint, the fact that they're each saving $1,000 on their tax.
And getting some professional
And in
content.
fact, I had someone who needed to try and finish some hours. She helped me out. We did a little favor for the new Reverend Estelle at the Trinitarian Congregational Church on Country Way, because she's also coming to the SANS meetings, about emergency preparedness. And she's done a lot of that previously, so it's really high on her list, which is great. But she wanted emergency contact information, and I thought, well, I probably have some emergency contact information. So her list of congregants in my database, and how many of those could I give her? In the end, it ended up not being that many. Out of 63 that I had, only 24 had emergency contact information, which underscores our need to be a little more, and we have tried to ask people for it, but they are reluctant sometimes to give us that information. But we really do need it. If someone was going on a trip, I would print the list, which seems silly, but the bus driver might be the only person for us who's sort of overseeing things, and it is nice to have that. I can print that out and give it to them. So we're gonna step up those efforts. We have our second artist of the month. You can maybe notice on our walls right here. It happens to be John White, who is one of our van drivers, and he's a Scituate resident. And these are his oil paintings, which are beautiful. So Joanne Pepindray wanted to do this, I wanted to do this, so after the art show, we had another woman last month, and now John this month, so we hung those. I did a staff meeting in September. I've also started one-on-one more regularly with Laura, who you know, social services, as well as Laura and Jenny, because I've sort of talked about how I may have a little, last year spent more time on transportation. I had a lot to learn after Q left, and Dean was new. Programs is an area that I have worked in, so that's easy, but outreach is not really, has not been my area of concentration. So I really just want to get a little bit better handle on what they do, how much they do, and just be a little bit closer to the action. So I am trying to work with them regularly. So I have started with that. So I think we're a little closer maybe to being able to use someplace in Gates, because the rec department is going in. Has been talked about, they're still not there yet, but we need a place for dance classes that is not a carpeted floor. And we are now at the Maritime Center for Zumba, but still need an evening, a classroom. So facilities thinks there is a place, and I believe we can have it once recreation gets in. It's just been a hassle and a half. That was my note there, Kevin. Mara, I should have taken that out, but Mara is the rec department director, so she and I have to figure things out, and Kevin is the facilities director who tries very hard to help best he can, always. The Aging Mastery Program has been going on. We just had our 4th meeting today. So it's been great. It's been a smaller group, which is a little disappointing, but also nice. We didn't want to not have it, so the first time we had upwards to 27 starting with us. The second year we had more like 20, 21, 22, I think, and this year really started with a dozen. You know, we're having 10 maybe come to the meetings, but it's been fine. Still great information, and I think the people coming are certainly happy with that. I should have encouraged any of you who didn't do it yet to do it, just because I think it'd be nice to sort of see it from the inside and know what we're doing. And I'll talk about something else in a minute with regard to that. Oh, well, actually, I could talk about it. I'm just going to pass this one handout around each side. So I have talked about this grant program that, I'm going to take one back, that I'm not sure. I'm sorry, I just don't know.
He's just a member, just a member of the public.
Right, so this is normally the audience just sits around, but that's fine, you're not.
We have plenty.
So I've talked about the grant program that we were awarded by the Scituate Education Foundation, and I need to begin to sort of market it and recruit the number that I had indicated we would provide this service for, I guess this program for. So I need to purchase 6 iPads, 4 here for the senior center, and then I'm recruiting 12 seniors, and in the grant I had indicated that I would go first to the completers of the Aging Mastery Program. So even if you did it 2 years ago, or a year ago, or this year, those people would be eligible to jump into this program if they would like. And then if we don't get all 12 from there, then I'll go out to just advertise it. We need 12 or more high school Interact Club students, which, as you know, have been already doing the tech time for us and various other jobs that come up that they're wonderful for. They helped deliver some sand buckets last winter, and they're just great kids. So we're gonna first, the plan is to hire our professional trainer who we've had come here to do training for us and I've known for years. She's great. So she'll do a couple of 2 or 3 training sessions here for those 12 individuals, and then we'll match them up with the high school students for one-on-one, consistent one-on-one. So making a match and then leaving that to be the relationship that they have going forward for the next 8 weeks for support. So probably they have to do that for the most part here. We could probably loan out the iPads on a schedule for them to take home. But the idea and the hope, and you can read some of the, the benefits that are obvious for doing this, but not only the consistency and the time given to the ongoing support, but also the ability for the kids to get to know the needs, the specific needs of that person, some of the interests, and be able to customize the iPad so that it's easier for them. They can download certain apps that are specific to their health and wellness concerns or their interests, or they might want a yoga app, or just different things that help them have quicker, easier, more consistent access to the different things that they do, and help them learn how to do airline tickets or whatever it might be on the iPads. So, and of course, there's also the benefit of just developing that relationship and having some social time with everybody together here. So I think I really am excited. I think it's going to be great and not too hard to bring this all together. But I am starting to recruit, and especially where we're in the throes of Aging Mastery, I'm going to bring it to them next week. But.
And do we need to recruit more interactors?
Well, I mentioned to them yesterday how many we needed.
Okay.
So I don't know how many.
Okay, so they know.
Become part of the club.
Okay.
So I just wanted you all to know about it and know where we were going with that.
Good to know.
Good, thank you. So I attended the men's breakfast and recruited for men's yoga. Well, so far we only have 2. But if you know any men who might be interested or have thought they might like to begin yoga, we had a woman who was upset because why have just men's yoga? Well, of course, we have 6 other yoga sections, and they're all women. And I think the idea for us is always to look for opportunities to get men more engaged, and they're a little more reluctant to just jump into something that they don't know in a group that obviously has been sort of doing it. And, you know, women together are different than, after they know what they're doing, they may very well decide they want to go to the other yoga classes, but I really think it helps introduce it to them. And, you know, I think men have heard now, you guys probably have, it is just so beneficial that I think it's nice. So the instructor's awesome, and so they're
Who was
having.
the instructor?
The instructor, her name's Ann Schroeder. She does teach with the women too, but she lives in Duxbury, she's a friend of mine, but she, people have said she's a little bit of a workout too, so, they like her for that,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? She's a little bit more, I'd say more strenuous, but I think does tax them a little bit, so it's good.
So you're recruiting for men's yoga, is there a date for a men's yoga club?
It's
class?
Wednesdays at 9:45 at the community building,
Okay.
$10.
So for all the men out there,
For all the men
Right,
out there, it's your
I,
ticket.
I have,
9:45
I have a
Wednesday.
history of a bad lower back with back spasms daily. And I did yoga twice at
Yeah.
the Congregational Church a couple of months ago. My back never felt better than after those 2 sessions, and it lasted for a couple of days. So I would encourage any men who are, you know, thinking that, you know, maybe this is something they don't need.
It's a good thing for you.
It can be very, very helpful. I'd like to get into it on a regular
It's a
basis.
good thing for you.
Oh,
It
yeah.
is really a good thing with stretching alone,
Yeah.
but much of it
Mhm.
brings in a lot of, and it gets into the fat.
Mm.
Right? You could go to a chiropractor and have it, but yoga over time
Mm.
is
Yeah,
really
Oh, yeah.
a cure.
yeah, good health.
So thanks.
The wellness.
And also, and at the time I reminded them about the survey and brought that up. I'm still doing weekly Tai Chi myself, and we started a new lesson, the new 24-week program this week. Oh, that's right. Oh, you missed lesson 1.
Yeah.
I do love lesson 1, but that's all right, we come back to it eventually. It is a good lesson. Okay. I did participate in the Friends of Scituate Seniors Fashion Show on the 16th. It was fun. Got to wear pretty dresses. We did participate here as a stop on the Education Foundation's Passport Day, September 5th. So that's a program they designed to try to get the younger families involved in the community, and they brought cookies and left them here for our seniors to enjoy. And the Mahjong group of ladies was here
That's
to
cute.
greet them when they came in, so,
All
yep.
those kids.
Yep, it was nice, they did it last year too.
What did they?
Yes, yep, first year was last year. So, I also met briefly with JD and Caitlin, and Gordon wasn't able to make it, and Caitlin wasn't coming tonight, and we knew that she couldn't come tonight, so it was funny that she brought.
Just wanted to give something stuff.
And she had a suggestion for us, which was just
Yeah. Which is
perfect.
something to think
Because
about.
what I did include in my report is this was actually, I said it was one of my goals, but I did my goals so long ago that I had to look it up. So she talked, and she's been very instrumental. In fact, last year at the MCOA conference, I went and heard her and Jan Muchler, who had done our needs assessment study a few years ago from UMass Gerontology Institute. So they did a talk on an age-friendly community and a campaign
Yeah.
to cultivate an age-friendly community in your town or city. So I really love the idea, plus dementia-friendly, they talk about a lot too, and just having our merchants and different people that might come in contact with those who are suffering a little bit from loss of cognitive, whatever. So anyway, what she had to say was very pertinent, and I did include my objective here, just so you knew a little bit about it, and I also have a handout, which this might have you. So she offered to certainly next time we meet, talk a little bit more about it, because she's so well versed in it, of course. But for my part, I wanted to, in the bolded paragraph or bullet point in my report, investigate ways that Scituate can further embrace aging differences and provide opportunities for understanding and interaction among varying age cohorts. And it would be an ongoing thing all year. So combined with wanting to do a little bit more to find ways to support clients having cognitive impairments or difficulties or challenges. And also to bring the community into it and become more aware of what we do,
Right.
but become part of what we do sometimes, and get
Right.
out in the community.
Right.
which I've been talking about, and we all have been talking about it. We've been trying to do, of course, but this just gives us, it does talk about developing, you know, another committee or collaborative that might work together. So people from clergy, from, you know, the rec department, from the library, from various organizations, from the merchants or the chamber or different people that want to come together, and the Economic Development Commission, just because a lot of it might have to do with, the domains are, well, funny enough, outdoor spaces and buildings. So it's extremely relevant, obviously, for our senior center needs, but even downtown, even the idea of park benches or whatever might help someone do more walking or have access to different, you know, whether it's a bathroom downtown or something that makes it easier for people to do their shopping. Transportation, which, you know, Situate's done very well. Housing, Situate's not bad, but certainly there's always more that we can do for affordable housing. Social participation, I feel that's where we come in, but could make better connections. Respect and social inclusion, and there's different things involved there, of course. Even getting more involved, you know, the Commission on Disabilities, which is also doing their work, and we can be part of. Civic participation and employment. You know, the tax work-off program might be one, but other areas where people maybe do need employment, that we can help with that. And there's a woman doing a talk at MCOA, and she is now living in Scituate, and she actually spoke at one of our public forums because, well, she got up and talked about going to so many other senior centers and knowing so well what is needed here in Scituate, but she helps not really train or retrain people maybe to have jobs that are older that do want to return to the workplace. And then health services and just making sure there's access here in town. So it's really an exciting and I think dynamic sort of campaign idea. So that was something that came up that just happens to work with what I would like to do if we want to, as a board, look into doing more of that. So upcoming, we also have the health fair in October, which I think I had mentioned. We do have some volunteers. Lisa might be looking for more, but it's at St. Mary's. And it
October
is-
24th, Tuesday. Tuesday,
It's
October
Tuesday,
24th.
the 24th.
10 to
And that's
2,
different than
11 to 1,
the one that-
It's a separate one.
Yeah, okay.
10 to 1.
Yeah.
Well, we always have a health fair every
Yeah.
year, and this one's new for the Commission on Disabilities. I think I'm supposed to be there. It's a Saturday. What was I gonna say? Halloween party with the Magical Moon Foundation, so that's something that I agreed to do and team up with or partner with Donna Green from the Magical Moon, and she helps her with cancer and their families, and they're going to have sort of, I think she called it a antique truck parade, I think from the lighthouse to the community building. I think she probably could use some help. I think her group is going to do some decorating in the building, and, you know, certainly we could use help if anybody's interested in being there. They'd like seniors to participate, to dress up, to, you know, be there for the families, and I think it would be a nice opportunity to interact. So
How
we
about
are doing
interact?
that on the 29th.
How about interact?
Interact.
You want to shoot them an email?
Do you know the time?
29th, Linda?
It's Sunday, the 29th, and the party itself is at 4, but their little truck parade is a little earlier than that.
Okay.
4 to 6, I think. Next week is the MCO conference, so I'll be out at that for a couple of days.
Of course.
It's a nice idea.
Something to crazy. Gets them out, gets them involved, gets them to
Okay.
help.
I will.
Plus, they get to play the
Sure,
party.
yeah, that would be fun. Okay. Right, she wants it to be, you know, it's a happy party, nothing scary. All right, and Joe wanted me to mention that the Rotary Club is sponsoring and in charge of the senior family community dinner at St. Luke's in October 22nd.
It's this Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
It's not this.
No, next
No,
Sunday.
next Sunday. Unless you change the date.
The 22nd.
22nd. What time does that happen?
It's 5 o'clock, it's usually 5 until 6:30.
And they serve and they cook.
And eat.
And eat. Great.
We do it all, and clean up. We do it all. Yep.
So,
St. Luke's right on the corner, and on the 22nd Sunday.
okay, so what's next? Is it my, is it outreach?
Yep.
Not that it really
Well,
matters.
transportation outreach, whatever's
I
next.
don't know what order Jill stayed with the,
Yeah, so go whatever's next on the packet. Or aren't you working with that?
This is next.
that's next, activities, okay. So so what I did was I printed out some numbers for you. How they come out? So, back to my senior center report numbers, the duplicated and unduplicated, which again, it makes it a little bit easier to explain. When you look at community education, for instance, and 64 seniors came in for whatever we are doing for community education, and we determine those categories. So I did print out in the next page, or on the next page, or behind it, I guess it's a two-sided. That's the Aging Mastery Program, or Cafe Talks. We did a lunch and learn about the particular assisted living when we have our history class going on right now. So the history class, for instance, we had 21 people check in, but 36 times. So it was probably 2 weeks worth, because we started mid to late September. And so the people could be the same people, some didn't come the first time, maybe come the second time, or vice versa.
Sure.
So that's how that works. So between community education, and then I did the instruction printout, just to let you know what goes into that. So it's funny, the art class, you know, she gets a lot of people in for Joanne's art class, so 15 people, but they must have come 2 or 3 or 4 times. Expressive writing, which they're obviously not signing in, because we have had
Yeah,
easily
I walked
10
in here,
people
yeah,
coming in
last-
for expressive writing.
Earlier in the weekend, there was 10 people.
So only 3 signed in,
Yeah.
and we didn't catch them.
Yep, yep.
So that's not good. Memoir writing, I guess maybe we do have 6 or 7 or 8, so I probably didn't catch everybody there. I don't think knitting should be an instructional. It is and it isn't. It's really a social. It's social, leisure, recreational, but somehow it got that category, and that's where it shows up. So you can see there's always some work to do in trying to fine tune these reports, and I would like to do that. But those are our numbers, and they're not bad. They're pretty good numbers. Certainly, I feel like I need to have those numbers always at my disposal, because people seem to think either nobody comes to our activities or what we do here. We really do boast some good numbers for certain things. Granted, we might have a cafe talk that we had to cancel one, which was for caregivers. And we keep trying to target caregivers and find a way for them to get some support through us, but we don't really get the response from them, so we're not finding them.
Sometimes it's tough for them to break away.
When they could be working, and that's absolutely true. Laura is putting in, speaking of men again, but we have a caregiver support group, as you know, monthly, but she's thinking, I think it might be great to have a men's caregiver support group, because, and she says there's unique challenges to that for them, and they might be more likely to come to that, but finding the right time is also a challenge.
Right.
Should it be early in the morning,
Right.
or maybe 4:30 in the afternoon? Many still do work, and they also have those responsibilities
Yep.
to meet. So, just saying, it's tricky. So that is the activities and programs that happen. You know, the trips still are really popular. So we've done it a couple of different ways. Certainly we have our own vans doing them if they're local, but we have teamed up with Cohasset for a couple of larger things on the big buses, and we also have chartered our own big bus for 1 or 2 things. So I think today, in fact, they went to the turkey train up in Lake Winnipesaukee.
Oh.
That was a big trip,
Well,
but we didn't do that bus. That was with Cohasset
Is
and.
that a 2-day trip or?
No, 1.
Wow.
I think they'll be back, gosh, they might be back
Oh,
tonight
wow.
while we're here. I think that. Okay, and moving on then to, what's next? Outreach, thank you.
okay.
So Jenny gives you her numbers for her various activities and responsibilities. So total interactions is 72, but she counts 25 seniors that she has helped in her various capacities, as well as Norman's work with us. Shine.
Norm's numbers are in here?
Norm's numbers
Norm's numbers probably aren't.
are not in here, I believe, because the Medicare, Medicaid, he's helped way more than 9 people. So his numbers are not in here,
Yeah.
and I could have generated them, but I did not. So on November 8th, I believe, he and Jenny both will be doing a informational presentation here on, you know, Medicare, Medicaid, the open enrollment
Open
period,
enrollment.
the Part D drug searches and opportunities and benefits and different resources that people can use. But that's sort of the one time he gives out that information. Doesn't take one-on-one appointments for people who are only interested in the Part D supplement. So we are going to have that taped by SCTV, and also are going to work out a time where we have Norman and Jenny sort of interviewed about it on the seniorities program. So we'll do it 2 ways and get the information out there. But that one's November 8th, if anybody's interested in that.
What time, do you know, what time is it?
10, you know what? I forget.
Okay.
I think it is 10:30, but I think it is
The
10:30.
open enrollment
You know what, it
period
is
has
10:30,
started.
because it's like a cafe talk.
Open enrollment has started, right? October 15th?
October,
Yeah.
this week, maybe.
Okay.
And, you know, last week, we must have, or Monday, maybe we mailed, right, because Norman did it over the weekend. So people can fill out the forms with all of their prescription medications and whatnot, and he does the searches to find out the
Figure out.
best.
Yeah.
You know, he does them all in his free time. And then we mail them out to you unless you pick them up here, so.
And it's a huge help.
But it was, we must have mailed 15. So just to, you know, fill in a little bit more about, you know, with Jenny, you can see it's fuel assistance, it's food assistance, the SNAP benefits, maybe it was still some farmer's market coupons, different federal and state benefits, assistance with housing, and again, sometimes it's the application, hand-holding, sometimes it's someone's at risk for losing housing and needs some, whether hand-holding or resources or just counseling. He does have some opportunity to talk with, you know, disabled younger individuals, residents who need some direction and what they can be provided for resources. So assisting with paperwork, just, you know, sometimes picking some people up and making sure they're okay and getting them out the door and helping them do what they need to do is a lot of what she might do. And she does do a lot of home visits for that purpose as well, as does Laura. And Laura's reports, you know, are quarterly, so I think she's due next month maybe. And I will start having the staff come, it's just everybody's been a little bit overworked lately and stretched a little bit thin. So I have it required that they stay for this. Transportation. Jean says she's sorry she's boring too, so there are her numbers. So that's sort of good because we don't have any special unique stories to tell, which means nothing's gone wrong. But we do have our mid-size van, the 12-person van is in the shop again. I think we just did the brakes a month ago and now the muffler fell. So they're replacing it up at O'Brien's. And I guess nobody really likes our 10-person van, that's the least popular.
That was the bigger van than the one like.
Well, no, we just didn't have enough drivers for that one, but now with our newest driver, Jim, he can drive the 14-person van, and he likes it, and they like it, and
Okay.
it's getting more use, and Gatra's happy, and everybody's happy.
Okay.
So, that's good. We've switched days around a little bit, so he could take the van when that's needed, and he's available, so it's been working out actually very well. So I don't know whether at some point we're going to need another van and how we'll do it, but, the 12-person, once it gets repaired again, and the 14-person are working out great.
And does GATRA pay for those repairs, or is it your budget?
One town.
It's our budget funded by GATRA,
Yeah.
so it is, and you know, we do charge some money for the rides. It's not recouping what it costs us to run the vans and to run the service, but it is going back into the kitty. So generally speaking, we've never run out. We pretty much have hit it, and it has stayed the same over the last, you know, really 3, even 4 years, at 100,000 more or less. So we'll see if it keeps up, but we do, I did get Frank Gates, who's the executive director from GATRA. He is willing to come on seniorities and talk on the cable program, which I think will be really nice. I think people would like, he could certainly really talk about how that works, how they fund us, why they fund us, their sort of objectives as a regional agency, and how they've grown really over the last 10 years. And also the sloop, but also what they do for us, and how they use COAs, which they do relying on us. Okay, that's it.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for Linda on any and all of that? Okay. Well, I know, I ran into, well, I know Joan Powers is not here. There is not a South Shore Elder Services liaison report. My understanding is South Shore Elder Services had a fire
Smoke damage.
in the back of their building or something along those lines in Braintree, and so they canceled the meeting that Joan was gonna go to because of smoke damage, so that didn't happen, so, and she had a conflict tonight anyway, so I think they're up and running and there was no major issues, but they did have a little bit of,
Oh, really?
yeah, fire.
Wow.
So, Commissioner of Disabilities, Elaine?
I wasn't here at the last meeting, and over the past couple of months, we've elected new officers. Megan Summer is our chairperson, Michelle Murphy is our vice chair. Jeff Dugan, who's from the Mass Office of Disability, is our secretary, and Athena Brodsky is the treasurer. She was the treasurer before too. We have one new member, well, two. Jeff is a new member. He was on the commission up until last September and then had to step down, and he's back on now. And the other new member is Linda Fulton, who joined in, September she joined. We have, as somebody mentioned, there's a forum being held at the community center on November 4th from 11 to 2 for safety and assistance resources that are available within the community, so people can become aware of what's available throughout the community. Typically for people that have handicaps, but not necessarily limited to them. So it's open to the public, and there will be certain number of individuals speaking, but there will be also tables set up with, like at the vendors and giving out information. So.
November 4th.
Right, 11 to 2.
11 to 2.
At the community center.
Okay.
So typically at our health fair, we always have the traffic information center, we always have someone from the Mass Commission for the Blind or the Hard of Hearing, and
It may be a little bit
special. So
duplicative.
that would always have been our charge as
I know.
well. So it, in the future, it would have been nice to partner, but it may also be much more extensive than we would have been able to provide if that was the objective, solely. But anyway, they probably didn't know that we try to do that. And I'm not even sure, I'm not really planning and inviting the vendors, so I'm assuming all those people are coming, but it may be
Right.
that they're doing the Saturday one instead of ours, and I don't even know that, so. I'm just saying.
I don't know. I think it was miscommunication.
I mean, it's great.
Right.
It's great.
Okay.
And then, let me see, was it? Yeah, I think that was it. I'm no longer, as of tomorrow, a member of the Commission on
Really?
Disabilities. Yes.
Do you only have a 1 or 2 year?
No, I had 3. I still had 1 left, but I resigned.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Oh, we're sorry. Does that mean you're not, yes, so you're
I
not-
guess I won't be
The
the
liaison.
liaison.
So we need a liaison, right?
But I can still come and be the false liaison until Betty comes back from
Yeah.
Florida.
Is she away for the winter now?
She's not away, she's not gone yet, but she was away at something this week.
Oh, okay.
Well, she's in Florida, but just for a couple of weeks.
She's gonna be in Florida for most of the winter, I guess.
So
Good
funny
luck to
enough,
her.
I have something, and I did print it out in case any of you were interested. I'll pass it around again, and this has to do with, I just got this email from the Mass Department of Transportation, and they're holding some public meetings to sort of I guess, inform people about their accessibility campaign for making what they do more accessible, you know, high transportation in general. So, the one in East Bridgewater, Thursday, October 26th. So I just printed them on both sides for you. But they sent this to me, invitation to comment on, or to support the MassDOT's efforts and help make them effective by providing input and advice. So I don't know if, Elaine, you just want to pass this on to your committee, or if it's something people are interested in even coming
Yeah,
on
I'll
board.
check, John McLaughlin has been very involved
So
with the
MassDOT's
DOT, so
ADA,
he may
yeah.
have received this and passed it on, but if not, I will pass it
Okay,
on.
on to FOSS, okay.
Um,
Friends and Scituate seniors?
Yes, as Linda mentioned, we had our fashion show on the 16th of September. We raised $1,314.13, and Linda was the star attraction.
Pretty dresses.
Trivia night is October 20th with Al Kozlowski, 6 to 10 at St. Mary's.
So it's a week from tomorrow.
Yes, yes, Friday evening. Pizza and dessert and Al's trivia and contests and so. That's usually very well attended and very much appreciated by people in the town.
And it's corny jokes?
Yeah, that will be included too, yeah.
And it's corny trivia sometimes.
Yeah, it's a package deal, yeah. We will be, there'll be a regular raffle at that event, and then we have a raffle that's gonna be ongoing at trivia night, fall into Scituate, and at the Christmas fair that's on an Afghan that was donated to us that was handmade, and it's apparently quite gorgeous. So we'll be raffling that off separately, and a Christmas tree skirt that apparently is quite gorgeous. So that'll be, those will be available, those 3 events, and the drawing will be after the Christmas fair, or at the end of the Christmas fair on December 2nd. We're also going to be having a table at Fall into Scituate, October 22nd, Sunday, just before your dinner, from 11 to 4.
Work up an appetite.
Right. They're also gonna be dedicating the playground during that time period at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. There's a new playground in North Scituate, right at the MBTA parking lot. So they'll be donating that at dedicating that at 1 o'clock. So we'll get more people there. And then the Christmas fair, we'll be having on December 2nd, that's a Saturday at St. Mary's from 9 to 2. All sorts of homemade goodies and crafts and raffle tickets, raffle items. So, working hard
Okay,
to
so
make
the
up some
table
money.
at North Scituate, so when you say you have a table, what's on the table?
The table will be, it has to be all handmade items, so we've
So
got.
it's stuff for sale, it's not,
Yeah, we're trying to raise money.
material.
Yeah, we'll have material available if you wanna sign up to become a member of FOSS, but, we're gonna be the reason is the fundraiser. So we'll be selling, the snowman that we had at the Christmas fair that everybody really loved. We'll be selling, note cards, the Lawson, unique Christmas ornaments that we've been selling. Neck warmers, and was there any other knitted? That's it, okay.
No, I just don't know if you needed some senior center material to pass it.
Oh, we can certainly take some, yeah.
But if it's just for selling.
Well, no, we're gonna have our own things there, I mean, to have people sign up, but we always get questions as to, you know, what's for us and what are you doing, and so we'll be happy to have council on aging material too. Certainly, partnership
I
type.
would think.
Yeah.
Is what, promoting the senior center
Right.
seems to be the way to a new senior center, and not just that we're fundraising for a new senior center. We have to find a way to promote the
Right,
senior center,
right.
and if you're doing that,
Yeah, the more that we can get out there and talk about it, the
that would be great.
Yeah,
less difficult it will be.
and promoting an
I'm not gonna say
aging
easier.
friendly community. So that helps into
Yeah, the North Situate, fall into Situate is usually a younger, you
Yeah.
know, people with kids and, you know,
Yep.
or seniors with grandkids.
Okay. Okay, very good. John Dennehy is not here, not able to make it, I guess, tonight, so we don't have a report out on the Board of Selectmen. So why don't we move to where we were gonna, I think assuming we were gonna segue on any conversation or discussion on the senior center's location update, but
Right.
we don't have much of an update.
We don't, and the only thing I know is that they wanted to hold another
Right.
set of public forums.
Right.
I heard that at the
I was
Board of
at the
Selectmen
Board of
meeting.
Selectmen meeting where they discussed that, and Al Bagger pointed out that we had done that.
Been there, done that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if they'll move forward.
I don't know if
Yeah.
it was to better clarify, or if it was
Yeah.
to respond to comments, or if it was to update because things
Maybe
may
all,
look
maybe
different.
all
I
of
don't
those
know.
things, maybe all of those things.
maybe, and, you know,
But
Yeah,
it
they were
wouldn't be
trying to-
surprised that you wouldn't know.
Right.
I
Um,
agree. Yeah, I don't know if it was that meeting or after, I think there was a proposal to have it on October, this week. And I think
Well, they
and one of
also
the selectmen wasn't
mentioned
available.
too that if they were gonna do that, having the board there as well.
this board,
Yes,
as well as the
Yeah,
board.
Yes.
Yeah.
Both
they
of them
clearly said
together.
they wanted to have a meeting of the board with us
yes,
as well.
yeah.
So I think, obviously, it's just been delayed because of the town administrator interviews, is what I believe.
So again, well, the survey results are online. That's all we can really tell people right now. is
And I mean, the comments are, some
surveys and
some
the
are
comment links are all online.
wonderful and some are disheartening, so, you know, there's a
Mhm.
lot. There's a lot to talk about to people, and, you know, I don't know quite, I think we all feel like we could respond, but I don't know how best to respond, you know, you don't, answer everyone in detail, but I think it warrants a response, because we do things that people don't know about. They don't think it comes, they don't think anyone will use it, they don't think, it's needed, that there's plenty of other places. I mean, even just those comments.
The
drive me
comments are
crazy.
all over the board, from one extreme to the other.
Well,
Yeah.
there's many other, areas that are being brought into this, all the buildings.
Right.
and
Yeah.
I was reading all about the disrepair of the school buildings. And then
Yes.
this, I'm not gonna vote for a new building, period.
Period.
So there's many things that
Yeah.
are.
Can I offer my comments after having spent
Sure.
5 hours with this on
Mhm.
at 40,000 feet that I was yesterday? It's very interesting, and I've kind of made some conclusions, and I'm not a statistician, but I just want to throw out some of the numbers that I kind of came up with. There were 123 comments that said building. And it wasn't, I want it here, I want it there, it's, let's get it done.
Doesn't matter, right.
So 123 out of 565. There were 82 that I classified as additional information was needed. And that was either because their comments led me to believe that they didn't have the correct information, or they were saying, well, what happens at the Council on Aging Center? What programs do they
So they do
offer?
need that.
What do they want to offer?
Right.
So there's a lot of information, I think we can gather a lot from these once you have a chance to read them over, in terms of seeing what people want to, or need for information. So I thought that was kind of neat. There were only 39 that had what I felt were significant cost concerns, where they said, I'm not voting for anything at this point in time, my taxes have gone up high enough. So 39 out of 565. I thought that was pretty good. This is something that I think the selectmen need to address right away, is Pier 44. There were 35 comments specifically saying, why aren't we using Pier 44?
I know, I
Now,
hear that all the time.
why the selectmen haven't come out and clarified, we don't even know, what Pier, what
do
can
our
be done
best
with
to
Pier
answer.
44?
What can be
It
done?
has to be for.
It's a
it has
non-answer.
to-
Community.
Right,
Okay.
because
It was
it was
MBTA
bought with
funds.
money from
Yeah.
the T,
Right.
it has to be used for the whole population.
But I
Situate.
think
It can't
somebody,
used for
whether it be
just one.
Maura or
No, no,
someone,
somebody-
needs to have,
To say that.
Ruth Thompson write an article, maybe even in the Mariner, about, okay, we know that there's some ideas that people have about Pier 44, but this is what can be done about. Now, we're not gonna reach everybody. There's still
Right.
gonna be people out there who are not
That's why they have to
not gonna get the
answer
information.
the question.
35 people is a lot of people who still think Pier 44 is
I'm sure
the
there's more than
answer
that.
to all, huh?
I'm sure there's more than that.
Oh, yeah,
yes.
is the answer
Yeah.
to all our concerns. The next one, I know we've kind of touched upon this a little bit, and it brings out some kind of nerve endings. But I calculated there were about 31 comments that were speaking about the multi-generational aspect of what they would like to see. Now, I'm not in favor of us building a community. I think we have a community building. I don't think we need to be talking about having a multi-generational building. But, you know, I think we've talked about having multi-generational programs, and Linda, has started some of that.
Right.
And we've been doing some of that. But I think we need to let people know that we're doing it, and that, you know, with the proper facility, we can do more of it. So, we don't, it's not that we're expecting to have a bunch of 6 and 8-year-olds running around the center. That's not what we're looking for. But I think we can, do we all agree that having, you know, some interaction with younger people would be helpful?
It's happening.
Yeah, I know, but people don't know that, so, you know, I think, you know, with some of our subcommittees, you know, set up, I think some of the comments that were made help us to direct our attention to what people are looking for. And the multi-generational thing is a big thing for a lot of people. But, you know, it's,
Well, mostly because I hate to say it, most of those on that side of the fence are because they don't know and also are not willing to look at the need for this one generation, which really, as we've said, is 4 decades worth of people potentially.
yeah.
But deserve the money spent on one building, that they wouldn't use it enough, that they
Yeah.
wouldn't occupy it or have
Yeah.
enough programs, and they need
Yeah.
to stuff it with more things and make something available for others who can enjoy it.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, it's,
Right,
No,
if they're
you know,
gonna be
COVID
spending the tax money, they wanna be able to use it.
they wanna
for
get more
something.
bang for their
Yeah,
buck, they
yeah.
believe.
Now,
But-
Cohasset, as you probably know, behind the Red Lion, built it was a building.
Community building.
They converted it into a community center.
Yeah.
And I talked to a good friend of mine who's very involved in lots of activities in Cohasset. It's not working. You know, 3 or 4 kids will come in and sit around and play with their computers. I mean, it never has achieved what they thought it would achieve. So, you know, do we want to go
There's not
down
really a
that same
cause for
road?
that.
I don't think so.
In
So-
fact, having a senior center that sort of operates and governs that kind of thing and provides and, you know, conceives of the multi-generational programs that they could use to benefit, is what you need. You need
Yeah.
somebody to,
Yeah.
we have a student union in Duxbury that does very well, and that's for the kids. Really, it's for the young, you know, the teens don't go there either.
Mhm.
It's a hard sell. you
Well,
know.
that's what he said. He said when it first opened, you know, there was some team, but it ended up being the 10, 11,
Yeah,
12-year-olds. The 13 to 18-year-olds, they don't want to be.
No, that's not the place they wanna hang.
It's not cool.
Right.
Yeah, so,
Just like wanna
you know,
yeah.
but,
They do.
so,
Not really.
those were kind of the things that I came up with when I spent time reading these over, but.
What was
and,
the number that was looking for more information?
I came up with 82. Again, either because they were seeking information or they had incorrect, their
Well, and
comments
those are the
were
ones-
incorrect information.
I guess, those are the ones we can speak to, those and the multi-generational, you know, we can really do something about that.
Mm.
We can talk about that,
Mhm.
talk about what
Mhm.
what we are doing, or
Yeah.
what we plan to do in the future, or would like to be able to do in the
Yeah,
future.
yeah.
But yeah, the selectmen do
And,
need to
you
do.
know, another comment is I think the addition of adding Gates to the survey was a total disaster.
It confused me,
Uh,
but
There were a number of comments, why is Gates in this survey? I thought the professional opinions were that Gates wasn't suitable, why have you put it in? So it, to me, it
Yes,
really
I
messed
said
it
that at
messed
the
it up.
meeting. I said that I'm putting that in there.
And there wasn't
Right.
enough on
Skewed all the
Gates,
results.
on the Gates
Mm.
school.
After we had, I made a point to say that, you know, there was a,
The reuse.
The presentation
No, it was-
didn't bring that in, you know?
there was a study done, we had 4 sites that we went and looked at.
Mhm.
And then to have Gates put on the survey, It was kind of like, why did you do that? And even Al pointed out that, you know, we had actually walked all the sites that were in the study.
And did that come
And
out?
then to have them
Did people
put it in
want
there.
that?
You know, to see.
So that was an open discussion for a bit?
It was at the,
It was at a
yeah, I
board.
was pretty much the only one left there at that point. So they, and John was there, and he knew I'm on the board, so he asked my opinion, and it is open discussion anyway, but, I did say that, I said I thought that putting gates on there kind of skewed the results.
And confused.
Yeah,
Because they
Because
weren't
we
sure
only,
how-
we were tasked with looking at 4 sites.
Right.
Right.
And then they put 5 on it.
And the fifth was actually a convoluted choice, because I'm still not certain whether they meant for us to be in there or the TBD for the
Right,
Seoul
right.
Senior Center to be determined at a cost.
Yeah.
That's how I interpreted it, but
Right.
people did it in
Did
different
people,
ways.
did people vote on
Yeah.
it in the,
We don't know
survey?
which, we don't know which they voted on unless they made a comment.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right, yeah,
Oh,
it
yeah.
was,
It
Oh,
got-
there's the results that,
It probably got,
Well, I'm not saying we know how people voted, but if they said gates, we don't know whether they said
Yeah,
gates
right.
inside or gates, yes, I want the senior
Separate.
center on the property,
On
but
the, on the campus, but not in the build, not in a new building. Right.
unless they made a comment to that
So
effect.
what does the Board of Selectmen intend to do about responding to the comments, or?
Is having
it's
another,
their-
it was the public forum, which again, since I haven't heard a date, maybe they're
maybe they are, maybe because of the administrator
Yeah.
interviews
hmm,
kind of sidetracked it, but.
We don't have any update, we don't have an answer to that.
hmm.
I sort of
They,
had the
they were
feeling.
bouncing around, I think it was the meeting that Janice attended, they decided that they wanted to try to have another public gathering to review these comments, or to try to clarify, or, so, right.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but we haven't heard anything, there's nothing been scheduled, so there's no, we don't have an answer on that.
And am I the only one who sees the introduction of the Gates question as a delaying tactic?
No, you're not the only one.
No, I
No,
think,
no,
no,
I think it's-
no, in,
yeah.
they did say it was because a lot of people asked about it.
Mhm.
Much like Pier 44.
But, I said, well, it's been taken off the table, so why would you put, I understand
Right,
that they put
right.
it in there because people asked about it, but it's been taken off the table, and that's not even
And
one of the sites that we looked at.
specifically, there's been no information on that particular building to put.
That's
Right,
right.
to compare.
Right, to compare.
And we were in a
Exactly.
somewhat difficult position at our public forums when the Karen, who is the chair of
Richard.
Right.
conservation,
Right.
she
Karen
came
Conlon.
and talked about how there would be
LCPC.
funds, which was, you know, how certain are we of that, if we were in the gates or just
Right.
on the property, or we didn't know, but we didn't really know how to answer that, and I thought Tony got up and says, that's not on the table. That was how he responded at one point, that wasn't on the table, so, okay, you know, that is how I would have responded to that, based on what he said, and then it was, so, it's hard to know what to say, so.
Well, you know, I think there's still some desire by a few people that, obviously if the center went in there, that would automatically mean that everything else is gonna go there too.
Mhm.
Yep.
Mhm.
And I think there was a statement made at one of the Board of Selectmen meetings I was watching before I left for my trip, that they thought they might like to get a more definitive idea about what it would cost to renovate gates, you know. I
And
think
the
some
fact that the
people are
building-
convinced that the numbers that were given back 2, maybe 3 years ago now.
It was June, of the year.
Were conclusive of it, you know, and that was just a superficial survey. They didn't go into the rafters, and they didn't go above the ceilings and behind the walls to see whether structurally,
Well,
whether that
if you were
building had issues or not.
bringing up to code, like,
Yeah.
it was one of the choices when they were deciding on what to do with it versus build a new middle school, and it was like $40 million,
Mhm.
just to
Um,
bring it up to code.
Well,
But
I
the
don't know,
perception,
Turkey
the
Brown.
perception is that there's a building there. That's
Right.
what I keep
Yeah.
hearing. You have an existing building,
Hmm.
like they're talking about Pier 44, they're talking
Right.
about
Yeah.
gates, so.
Those are the only 2 buildings. You know, they're talking about all the vacant buildings, those are the only 2 buildings.
Interesting, there were about I think 6 or 8 that said, "Oh, why can't we just do something on Brook Street?"
Yes, I know, renovate Brook Street.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah, we
God.
never thought of that.
Yeah.
I just realized.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, come on in.
Oh,
Renovate
my.
this.
Well, we don't have
So anyway.
any other sort of definitive direction
That's
at
our-
the moment
Yeah.
on
That's our update.
this, so.
So more to come.
Maybe one of the episodes of seniorities could be just the build it, the sites we looked at, because that runs like on a loop, and that runs, enough
Well,
people.
I guess that's kind of what we did,
Yeah,
3 of them.
we tried, well, but we also wanted, we
mean, now that the survey's
taped last
up.
week,
Yeah.
and what we wanted to try to do was simply, regurgitate comments that were at the time,
Mhm.
when we walked those sites, not say, this is a preference versus that is a
That's
preference.
cute.
Yeah.
We wanted to just walk through,
Mhm.
look, every site's got pluses and minuses, every site's got issues that need to be
Mhm.
dealt with, whether it's, again, the land, the traffic flow, you name it, water. So we just sort of did a cursory summary of those sites.
Everything that we talked
Yeah.
about.
Without saying,
Mhm.
without trying to say, either one of us we're articulating a choice, and we
Yeah.
certainly weren't articulating a choice for the community. We just wanted to sort of do it that way.
Here's the facts again.
Yeah.
So
Well,
we
hopefully
think-
that will,
Yeah.
run enough to.
Mhm.
So, we could probably keep on this topic, but we're gonna go round and round right now. So let's, and we're moving towards, time to close up. So, but let's do a quick update on committees, subcommittees. Now, before I get to what I would consider the crown jewel of this, which is Janice's work. I know some folks weren't able to meet, or maybe tried to meet and couldn't, there was conflict, et cetera, et cetera. I will tell you, Gordon, that, I'll start by saying, yes, so Caitlin and Linda and I met. You were out of town, and also we have incorporated, one of the earlier candidates for the new board,
Oh, great,
Maud,
great.
into that committee.
Good.
I approached, a couple of those
This is
folks.
Maud.
Oh, there's Maud. Hi, Maud.
Hello.
So we approached Maud. Perfect segue. To join us on the long-term planning committee.
Mhm.
So we wanted to try to build in
Yes.
additional energies.
There we go.
Maud, last name?
MEULSTEE.
S-T-E-E.
I'm Dr. King's Mill House near Windmill.
I thought you looked familiar.
Yeah.
I remember seeing you when you were being interviewed.
So, but Maud wasn't available because she had work conflicts, so we need to try to coordinate timing, but we did have a little meeting and we did discuss, I guess mostly was around thinking about moving towards trying to become an age-friendly Scituate
Mhm.
designation. We'll set up a time to meet and try and coordinate our own schedules and move forward,
Mhm.
but that was ours.
Okay.
Okay, can I say, I just have to say that, well, I tried, but we have
Yeah.
a few people on
Yeah,
vacation.
yeah.
But looking at tonight's information here, we were talking about, age-friendly campaign. Don't you think that the marketing and the publicity or whatever we should find out what you're doing and, it dovetails into marketing? I mean,
Yes.
so I was wondering,
Yes. Yeah.
where do we go with this? Where does, our committee go with this? I mean, do we meet separately? I mean, I thought that the committee members would meet with your team.
Yeah.
What you have in mind, what do you have in mind? But now this came up, so.
Well, we haven't gone anyplace with it yet, so there's not, but,
And we
I know,
include
but I know,
I
I'm
think they
thinking-
include the whole board, yeah.
Okay.
well, your question is how to communicate and keep everyone informed.
Yeah, and when
We'll
can we?
get it out.
So we need to make sure we've got a communication structure that
So
informs
should we
people.
meet after you guys meet and get a consensus of what you?
No.
Cause are you talking about marketing as a subcommittee or?
Events and marketing, so I'm
Well, it's
thinking-
PR, and actually, that would be a useful meeting anyway, and knowing maybe that this might be some framework that we would maybe work with or under, would be good. I didn't have her come in yet, but I did talk with another woman graphic artist person who might be able to work on a logo. I think we need something like that,
A logo for the senior center.
so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think once you start to determine what your long-range plan is, then you can start to market.
Right. that's
And you
right.
can
So
market
I'd rather be
current
premature
things.
by trying to pull the meeting
Yeah,
together, and what I
sure.
realized
Should
tonight.
somebody overlap both?
Yes.
Yeah,
Mhm. Okay.
Yeah,
Marketing
that's probably,
and-
that's probably easiest. Because we can't stop on marketing stuff.
No, but
even-
it's
even
also
short term.
events. I didn't know, did Linda
Yeah.
and the group have an event in mind? Time runs out.
Not yet, and it was a short discussion
So
so
that's what I
far,
was
but.
really wondering, if you need the event, or do you need,
I think we need marketing and obviously more.
more marketing?
Well,
No, but, like, I don't want you to wait on anybody. So,
Okay.
so
I think in and of
move
itself,
forward,
it's still
you know,
needed, yeah.
I mean, you wanna move forward with an initial conversation
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
want Linda to be involved, so Linda's the hub.
Okay.
I mean, that might be one initiative, but marketing in general and branding and getting us out there and,
Right.
you know, ideas for maybe an event or something that
Okay.
would generate
Right.
We'll set
Right.
something up.
more
for
understanding or
convenience.
interest. Oh, I did have one, I don't know if this is a committee thing, I did have one idea. Well, I'd like to do an open house, it's not as silly as it sounds, I don't mean to make, but, you know, granted, this is it.
Okay.
But, questions being, what do we do, what are our numbers, who comes, what, you know, we can answer those questions if given the opportunity, we could do it here with food and make it kind of festive, so that was a thought I had, and whether or not that works into the other initiative, or is just about us,
Mhm.
is fine either way.
Okay, so
just
we'll
a
set
thought.
something up next week perhaps?
Yeah.
And I think as much publicity about the different
Mhm.
intergenerational things that are in
Mhm.
place
Sure.
in advance of discussions
Yes.
would be a good thing.
yeah. Linda, was it determined whether, if a committee meets 2 or 3 people, whether, does that have to be
Oh.
published? Did we figure that out?
But aren't these subcommittees, I don't think the subcommittees have to be
That's what we were discussing, is it
They
a
do?
public, does it need to be a public forum?
I don't think
That was the
So
question.
I don't think so either.
We
Our
tossed
public.
around, but
I don't think so.
Can you,
I'm a little, I don't know why I'm unclear on that, I sort of think they are supposed to be posted, but whether, if it's 3, do they have to, if it's not a
quorum.
quorum
Quorum
of the board, then maybe not. I did just get a new copy, and I was going to send it to everybody, I got a new electronic copy of the open meeting
the
law.
new laws?
Yeah,
Right.
so I was gonna send it to everybody anyway, and figure out, I don't think it's a big problem, I do not posting, I think, I don't think it's a problem, I mean, we technically.
We raised
have
the
3 of
issue,
us.
but we didn't answer the question.
Because whatever happened in the subcommittee would get
Percolate.
eventually bubbled
Right,
up to
should-
a public
should
board
percolate
meeting.
to the
I mean,
public.
it's just-
So,
Right.
Yeah, and then that's public, and you need time to, you don't
You
want
need
to.
to
Clean it up.
you need to
Yeah.
brainstorm on
Right.
your ideas.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Bylaws?
So, what I put together here is really, the first column is our existing bylaws, which according to the date were last updated in 1999. The Board of Selectmen have general bylaws, some of which speak to the Council on Aging explicitly. So where it applied, I put what the Board of Selectmen bylaws was that applied to that section. And then option 1, option 2 is then to some suggestions how we could enhance or change or expand some of this. So, you know, just the first part of it is just the establishment, and my own, which, all of this, first of all, is very in line with what bylaws across all the state and what the state recommends you have for bylaws. So it follows all of that. What I would recommend is that in establishment, we expand that a little bit to include, like down here it says officers. I believe that was meant to say offices. The only thing in there is the location. So get rid of the officers and expand establishment just to outline, you know, the name of the organization, what it, you know, where it's located, what it includes, the director, volunteers, and your staff. In terms of Board of Selectmen bylaw, doesn't appear to fit into the practice yet. So the Board of Selectmen, so I think a couple of places where just this, our bylaws really depart from what's in place.
Right.
Is treasurer and budgeting.
Yeah.
You know, we don't, since I've been on this,
Right.
seem to be involved in that. And the Board of Selectmen's bylaw says our responsibility is to prepare the budget and the formulation of the oath of law policy. That doesn't appear to take place. We don't have, as far as our, officers, we don't have a treasurer.
Right.
So I don't know if that's just something that's been in practice over the years, if it's something that fell off. Would it be better to have a subcommittee, which we are planning to have, and maybe expand more explicitly what that subcommittee does in assisting you reviewing and the budget?
In terms of
Oh, like
bylaws
finance.
and finance, sort
I
of?
mean, that's,
wording?
I believe the idea or the notion of the board at one time having a treasurer, which was kind of odd, but that was before there was more watchful eyes from the state, and we're not supposed to really be handling money as a board. But also when it was maybe just a director of a senior center and not a staff, so that you almost used the board as a staff, volunteer staff. And that's where I think that kind of came from, and then wasn't quite as really relevant
Yeah.
anymore. That's what.
Yeah, I mean, because one of
So,
the
yeah.
things in the bylaws is that the treasurer would make deposits.
Right.
You know.
Which must be
that
what
is-
Jill does now.
Yeah, so that's impractical. So what I would propose, if it makes sense, is to remove the treasurer as being one of the required
Yeah.
Right. Chair people. And we would just have a chairperson, a vice chair, and secretary,
Which we do.
and remove the treasurer, and then maybe, and I don't have it here, but I could add something about subcommittees, that there can be, and there would be a finance
Yep.
subcommittee.
Which is
stand on
meant
that.
to sort of assist and guide and, you know, recommend, but also maybe the grants, if, you know, we're looking for money to support, you know, our objectives or our mission, then that's different.
Okay.
It's not
Yeah.
fundraising, it's not, you know, it's not the budget necessarily, but.
Another area that, and this may dovetail with how the Board of Selectmen has set this up, is most bylaws that I have read from other towns is, there's a nominating committee in terms of membership. That they sort of, that nominating committee looks for people in the community who would be appropriate, keeps a list of names, and makes recommendations. One of my recommendations that we expand our membership to, so
Yeah, when you say membership, talking about board.
board, I'm
Okay.
just talking about board members. So right now, our bylaws say that we have a minimum of 7 members, no more than 11. The Board of Selectmen have 2 different numbers in 2 different places.
Right, that was true. When we were finally trying to determine that, I think we could have 9. It was because there was some discrepancy in that.
Well, at least 7 is what the Board of Selectmen bylaws say, and then in another area, 9 for a 3-year overlapping term. So I think we can determine between 7 and 11 what we have chosen, which is 7, correct?
We chose 9, we have 9.
9.
We got, just in the last couple of years.
And
Yeah.
I would recommend that if we can, establish associate members up to 3.
I agree.
Um, I think they would be non-voting.
Right.
They would be obvious to replace someone, if, you know, if a member
They could
was
vote if we didn't have a
resigning.
quorum.
But have spent some time with the board when
Some
the member
discussions.
rolls up.
Yep,
Can we call upon those people?
that's what we've sort of
The
started to
other
do.
candidates?
We wanna build some institutional knowledge as we transition.
Absolutely.
So
And
So we need
why,
those
so we
names.
need people to
Mm-hmm,
sort of
Yeah.
move up,
absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah, as people cycle out. So that's what we're trying to do. I mean, that's part of
Okay.
why Maud is here.
Thank
I'm
you.
sorry
To a
to sit
degree.
here, I asked her where to sit, and she said,
No,
let's
no,
go
no.
sit. I feel very embarrassed now. Next time I'll sit
No, no reason.
No,
Actually,
we,
just
we
more
wanted,
company.
I mean, we wanted to make an outreach to those who showed interest
Yeah.
Yes,
to capture your involvement.
they could be part of the subcommittee.
Right, so Maud is volunteered to the subcommittee.
Good.
And so there's a sort of a live candidate that
For an associate
this
membership.
sort of happens with.
And then we could get the names
Be
of the
glad you
others.
sat down. to
I've
see.
sent them emails, they haven't responded.
Oh, I really wanted to be involved.
Good.
I think the associate member position is a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great
Yeah.
idea.
I mean, just
Especially
build-
we're having
builds-
subcommittees
I
that
get it.
need some help.
Input,
or-
strength, transition,
Absolutely.
succession,
Okay.
yeah.
Very good.
You know, one of the things that's in our bylaws is that, when you're appointed to the board, it should be so that not less, so such people are appointed on a rotating basis, so that not less than 3 new members shall be appointed annually, each for a 3-year term. This doesn't appear to be in place. I think last year there were 3 new members, because that's when I came on. This year there were 2. Should we change the wording, rather than have it, say, not less than 3, but just say not less than 2, so that we're not boxed into.
We don't wanna be boxed in. It did so happen that, we needed a lot of new 2 years ago or 3 years ago, and I think.
I like the idea of 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we need the flexibility that if someone moves out of town, or we can absorb and change and recruit,
Yeah,
but,
but we don't wanna be forced
Right.
into rotating 3
Right.
if we're not in that position, so I think. Another area that, council membership shall reflect the makeup of the community, shall be composed of at least 51% elders, and it says over age 65. I recommend, that we lower the identification of elders. And I've seen it as low as 50 in some of the, other town bylaws, so
Definitely.
50, 55, 60, any vote for age? I mean,
I think it's very difficult
Well,
to
I only
pinpoint
asked
an age.
if we
like
go
that, so.
by, like social elder services, you have to be 60 or older.
But this is for the.
Right, so I didn't know if
board.
that's how that,
No.
no, okay.
and remember, it's only 51% of the board
Yeah.
needs to be,
Which is really just a quorum.
yeah. I'd say we
I
make
think
it 50
55,
because, okay.
I like that.
You like 50?
50, I like 50, and I
I
mean.
like 50.
I like 50.
The hope is that it's not skewed so that the people making
love
up the
50,
board
actually,
understand
but-
the issues and challenges and concerns
Oh,
of.
You be getting,
Right,
younger people
representative.
coming in.
I mean, what we hope is it's a good,
next.
Yeah, just a reflection of Mount Phoenix. So,
Mhm.
And I think we would like to have a senior center that would, start bringing in people, at our age. Do we want to establish a nominating committee? Would that be part of a subcommittee? Would we wanna make that part of bylaws? Would that contradict what the Board of Selectmen does? Would they be willing to accept?
I don't know, and we did
Okay.
bring this up for discussion with the board,
Mhm.
and I don't know if it was a vote, y'all sort of decided not to go that direction back in, I would have to look back at our minutes,
Maybe this is only a couple months ago.
maybe May.
Yeah.
It was before we would have to nominate, is what
Right.
we were talking about, was the nominations. So, it might change that might be a discussion we have to have with the Board of Selectmen, or at
Yeah.
least with John. So I would table that for now,
Okay.
but we could bring it up again, and as we continue to discuss.
I would think it would be, given the number of people they have to interview.
Right,
mean,
I know, well,
I can remember
I did
haranguing
talk
you
about that with
2
Lorraine.
years ago on this issue, but
you know what, Lorraine had said they were so overwhelmed with all of the committee interviews they had to do even this past year, that I don't
Right.
think they'd be adverse, we don't know.
right, so to me, the process would be, if there's an opening on the board, it gets publicized, applications flow through town hall,
Mhm.
but then those applications get handed over to a subcommittee, and
Yes.
this subcommittee meets with candidates, brings the recommendations or recommendations to the table,
Mhm.
and pushes it back up for a
Yep.
quote-unquote approval at the Board of Selectmen level. But we do the work, they're joining this team, let's,
Right.
Let's
And
figure
that's
out what
gonna be
works.
helpful to
Right.
the, yeah. Okay, so I think that might be a good, enhancement.
It seems like, I noticed in the Ledger article the other night about the candidate, because the individual that's being offered the position through TA, is they asked specifically that, or they were looking specifically for a person who wouldn't micromanage. So to me, this sounds like micromanaging. Does the Board of Selectmen really need to sit and
Absolutely.
interview
In my opinion, no.
candidates for committees?
Right.
Yeah.
the Board of Selectmen can sign off
Yeah.
Yeah.
as but it's otherwise, to me, it is
Hmm.
micromanaging
Yeah.
by them.
Yeah.
Let's pull it away from them and do what we need to do and then move it back up.
Mhm.
That's all.
Yeah.
That's my opinion, but.
I'm sure the concern is that if we're given that opportunity, that every other committee might be looking to have that opportunity as well.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We gotta clear it with them.
Yep.
Well, yes, we should, we need
The
to,
board, I should say.
excuse me, ask them about that,
Yeah.
that approach.
I guess
but-
it would depend on how many positions open, how many applicants they get, and if they only get 3,
Yeah, I mean, well, again, it just sort of takes, it takes it off of their plate initially and puts it with us, which is probably where it needs to reside in the first place. And one of the other things that I feel as though this board works better when we know each other. And the process right now is, a new person walks in and no one knows, they don't have any idea what we're doing, and we don't have any idea who they are. And the only time we meet, by the way, is once a month for an hour. So it takes 6 months to even recognize the face and the name.
Right. No,
And
that's
then
true.
we're a year into, they've attended meetings, but we haven't done anything with them. Or because no one knows each other yet. So we can jumpstart that process by being involved at the beginning, as opposed to having people appointed to us. That's my
Good.
soapbox.
Makes sense. Okay. Another thing that I saw that's missing from our bylaws that I saw in most other, town bylaws was a explicit annual meeting. So to state that there will be an annual meeting, and we can say that it will be I recommended maybe the August meeting will be the annual meeting to elect officers, and that's kind of after the fiscal year starts. And, I mean, it was delayed a little bit for their interview process, so we didn't know who.
That was late, that was unusually
Mhm.
late.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it might be nice to have people come to one
Mhm.
meeting and then
Yep.
we do. So I recommend maybe naming the August meeting would be our
Mhm.
annual meeting. Where, the,
Mhm.
chairperson, co-chair, vice chair would be elected.
Mhm.
Another option is we might might want to limit the number of consecutive years a chair and vice chair can serve.
Mhm.
Don't know what anybody thinks of that.
Yeah, I mean, it also.
There's nothing in here, but, I think we do a 1-year vote,
Mhm.
maybe 5 years, 4 years, whatever. Thought, and throwing it out to everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the
seems-
chairperson and the
seems long.
vice chair, it takes a, kind of a role that's the spokesperson, for the committee, and I think that takes some years.
I mean,
of
1 year ends up
being there.
seeming short, I mean, maybe not always. Entertained the vote this year and decided not to, so it became 2 years, I think Gordon was even chair for 2 years. So, that seemed to work fine, but I don't know whether that should be a vote of the board, and again, I'm talking on the,
Mhm.
I don't have
Oh, you don't have a vote.
vote. I don't have a vote.
Well, we're not
what
necessarily
are-
voting on this right now either, but it's a good discussion point.
What do others think about that?
I mean, we're 3 years, right?
Term of 3 years.
Right.
Which then could be 6.
Why not,
Yeah, but
why
it
not
could be-
3 years? I don't know.
I'm sorry?
I mean, we're 3 years, we're in for 3 years, right? Member board members?
Yes, but you can
Yeah.
do two.
But then you can do
two
2
Yeah.
terms, so you can do 6.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I mean, I think 1 or 2, I think is doing that on a rotating basis gives, I think it adds something. Sometimes it's hard, not everybody wants to be chair, so then,
No, and I don't think you have to be.
Right.
But I think that if you, I think that's only meant to, address moving it at years.
right.
Well, if we
I
did
mean-
like a 2-year term.
2-year term.
And then only do it twice,
Yeah,
so
That's
4
a-
years.
that's,
I think that sounds good.
mhm.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Because 1 year, it's just, you're getting used to the person and
Right.
it,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a waste of energy.
Mm.
Okay. I think that'd be happy. I think I did actually specifically say that the chair acts as spokesperson for the
Mhm.
council on
Mm.
aging to the public and to the board of selectmen.
Mhm.
I think that makes sense for us to establish a cohesive voice.
Voice.
Mhm.
That we all agree with, and rather than everybody having a tangent. And that is, the only thing that I did want to draw your attention to is the last bylaw here. That these bylaws may be amended, altered, or replaced by a written notice to members of the council 2 weeks in advance of the meeting, the presentation and discussion, and shall be placed for a vote at the following meeting. That seems to be all that changes this, not the board of selectmen.
Wow,
We can change our own bylaws.
That's
yeah,
right.
I didn't know that.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Keep on finding it.
Very interesting.
And so, which makes sense.
Again,
We're
yeah.
following all the required bylaws, for sure. And, I think the only point is because they have an established process for appointing board members, that we would like to make a change to, would be the one thing we'd wanna raise to them.
Well, right, or, and work in conjunction with them, not necessarily,
Overriding anything.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
Get their opinion of it, and if
Yeah.
they're fine with it, we will.
right.
On this last page, Janice, everything here this is what's in effect now,
Yes,
enforced now?
that's right.
Well, it says, if you read down to the second, I guess, third paragraph, the council shall screen candidates for the
Yeah.
coordinator.
For the
Coordinator
coordinator,
of-
that would be.
Oh.
That would be Linda, right?
And that,
More or
in
less,
every
coordinator.
place where it says
Exactly, right.
coordinator, I will change to director.
Yeah.
That would
Okay.
be
Making a
Linda's.
recommendation to the TA.
I don't know, maybe
But
that,
should be BOS.
maybe that happened, did that happen when you came?
My second interview was with Audrey and Joan Powers, who at the time was the chair, Audrey Reedy,
Mhm.
and at the time Florence as well, who was the director. So, I think they were included.
Mm-hmm.
They probably were able to make a recommendation to Tricia, but it wasn't the other way around, do you know what I mean?
That's the way it should be though.
Yeah, but it should, it just says they screen them probably.
So wouldn't this be an appropriate place to add in there, and potential members making an application to the board or something like that?
Are you on the last page?
Yeah. The council shall screen candidates for, you know, the director and, you know, people making application for the board. If that's what we want to try to do, would that be a appropriate place to put it?
Or, yeah, was it in a different paragraph, something like that? I have to leave it off, but.
I guess I was thinking of putting it up under membership, board membership,
Oh, okay.
where it talks about
Oh, yeah.
Page
council
one.
Yeah,
membership.
that's probably,
Yeah.
that's a better place for it. Right, good, that's good work, Glenn.
Nice,
Yes.
very nice.
Lots of work. Okay, so
Something
I,
Linda's been asking for several
Yeah,
years.
it'd be nice
So,
to have one
can I-
document.
Can we say, well, thank you,
Thank you.
we can say that. If anyone has any comments, you
Yeah,
can just
definitely.
shoot an email to Janice
Yeah.
and say,
Mhm.
or call her and say,
Mhm.
did I miss something here? What did you, and
yes,
let's,
absolutely. And then, you know, once everyone does that, what I will do is put this, you know, so if this is not laid out like this, I'll put it in a draft,
Yeah.
updated
Okay.
bylaws, and then we'll, you know,
Mhm.
clear it with one piece with the board of
Sounds
selectmen,
yeah,
and we can vote.
yeah,
Nice.
right,
Nice.
right.
Okay,
Huge
thank you, Jan. Great.
step.
Yeah,
Huge
since
step.
1999.
Right.
Wasn't that just yesterday?
And the bylaws are pretty sparse, right?
But,
Very good. Well, any other subcommittee?
No, I'll get a,
So, again,
I'll
we-
get a notice out, to see what's the best time.
Okay, great.
Depending on Linda, and why don't we just all go around and introduce ourselves to the board?
Do another intro?
Hi, Maude.
I'm not the old person.
No, we know Bunny.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Well, I'm Lucille Sorrentino, I've been on the board, this is my second round, so.
Okay, and you're
Welcome,
marketing and events, right?
Pardon me?
Marketing and events,
Yes, so.
Lucille.
And I'm Leslie James, board member, and I'm on the finance committee, but we haven't met because Janice has been busy doing the bylaws.
Janice Desmond, and it is my second year on the board.
Okay.
Janice Lindblom, and this
This
is
is
my
my
third
third
year.
year.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Started
I
in finance.
guess I'm a newcomer here, I'm the first year, and Helen Javasi, I'm the board
It's my third
member.
year.
And I'm on two of the committees.
Yes.
The events and what else?
Finance?
Believe it or
How
not,
much
Helen,
No,
You're
we're,
on two
this
years.
is your second year.
Is my second.
this is
You're
my
going on
fourth.
twice.
Second year.
It was,
Really?
Yeah,
You got
this is
first
my
and
just
about
started
that.
the second year.
Yeah.
This is my
Third
second.
already.
Oh, my goodness.
No.
Okay.
My name is Maud, and I'm a nurse practitioner, work for the VA, and I've done a lot of work with geriatrics, inpatients, so quite,
Yeah.
yeah.
Great.
I'm a retired nurse in the same.
Oh, good.
I'm JD Miller, how do you
Yes,
do?
I finally figured it out.
We corresponded a little bit via
Yeah.
email. So I'm the current board chair, and this is I'm just starting my second term.
Okay, so you got 2 years to go.
Well, we just started for 3. So we're on 2 3-year terms, right?
Oh, okay.
Oh, my mind is wandering here. It's
Might be jet lag.
It's three in the morning as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Gordon Price, I'm the former chair, and be working with you on the long-range planning, and I'm also on the marketing and advocacy committee, so look forward to your input and
Thank you.
look forward, yeah, it should be good.
That'd be great.
Yeah, and so we also actually have to think about associate members, if we're gonna put it in our bylaws,
Correct.
and finding those two
And how they, how
Yeah.
formally that can be.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay,
Good.
Right?
does anyone have any other business tonight?
No.
I make a motion to adjourn.
We hear a second. Very good, and thank you all for coming.